The runoff for South Carolina's Democratic congressional nomination in District 1, now down to 2. Mac Deford came up just short in his last run for this seat. Nancy LaCour, a former admiral, a former Republican, removed from her job, but ready to make a difference, she says, away from the battlefield as a Democrat. LaCour led the pack in the primary and believes her voters will come out again on Tuesday.
Probably had the shortest campaign going and still ended up raising the most votes for either a Republican or a Democrat. And I think that says a lot about what this district is looking for. I think they're looking for somebody who is not about just political headlines and who's just gonna, roll up her sleeves and get stuff done for the district.
Whether it was we were unable to make contact with that voter or that they just had a preference for another candidate. I think it starts with sitting down with them and saying, look, I want to hear what's on your mind. I want to hear, what is important to you and what you would like to see out of your congressperson. I think that's what it starts with, and then making sure that they're going to be heard and that they know that you're still going to fight for them, even though they didn't vote for you.
There's three kind of components that I hear people are complaining about and struggling with. One is just the cost of everyday items. Most of that driven up by first by the tariffs and now by supply issues as a result of the war. The second one is with housing. That is a big issue, and I would include insurance in that as well. And then the third is healthcare. So those are the three things that we are going to have to, tackle on day one. And I think we need to be realistic about it. Even if we get the majority back in the House, we still have this Republican administration in place, so we're not going to be able to implement major sweeping overhauls. So we're going to have to find what are the common areas that we can do, because this isn't just a Democrat issue. This is an issue that affects everybody. And we're going to have to work across the aisle to make sure that we drive those costs down right away.
My job as a congressman is not going to be to come in and tell every municipality and county what's going to happen. My job is to go there and say, all right, what do you need? What resources from the federal government can be brought to bear, for the 278 bridge, for flood mitigation, for, trying to keep data centers out of our district. Like, all of those things are important. And my job as a congressman will be to collaborate with our local and state governments to find the best solutions and see what federal resources can be brought to bear.
Literally every room I'm in, there's people who come up to me and they're like, yeah, I was a Republican too, or I am a Republican, but I'm not voting Republican because of this administration. And yet all the Republicans, the two Republicans that are running right now, all they're doing is upholding and supporting this administration. And people are fed up with what they're seeing abroad. They're even more fed up with what they've been seeing in this country, and they're ready for change. And I'm the one who can bring that change.
If you're a congressperson, you can't just go up to Washington and expect to advocate for your area that you're still getting to know. You're still getting to know who the people are and what the challenges are. So I'm ready for this job on day one. I have worked with all levels of government, right? I've worked with and I've gone against the federal government and won. I have worked with the state government. I've worked with local governments and in local governments. And I think that broad range of experience is something that sets me apart from my opponent.
Now, the first district race, the only Democratic runoff on the ballot Tuesday. Republican voters will choose their nominee between State Representative Mark Smith and Charleston Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt. For all the information on voting and polling places, just go to WSAV.com/.